Hello, welcome to Simple Spanish Sentences. This is the 17th video in the playlist on Spanish verb tenses and moods. In it, I'm going to share some sentences that show a specific use of the imperfect tense. It occurs when we use the imperfect tense to describe characteristics or traits about people or things that they used to have in the past. It's worth emphasizing that the characteristics and traits described here are relatively permanent or stable qualities of the person or thing. Also, as a brief side note on adjectives, there are two things worth noting about the people or things that are described by an adjective. First, they have a gender assigned to them, either masculine or feminine. And second, there's how many people or things are present, either one or multiple. Adjectives often change if what they're describing is masculine or feminine, and they take different forms if what they're describing is one thing or multiple things. I'm not going to go too much into adjectives here, but if you're unfamiliar with how they work, I at least want you to be aware that the same adjective may change slightly depending on what it's describing. The verb that I'll use in these sentences is ser, which means to be, and note that this is different from estar, which also means to be, but is usually used in a different way. I in Spanish is yo, and to conjugate this, ser becomes era. I was artistic is yo era artístico. And I was athletic is yo era atlética. You when talking to one person informally is tú, and to conjugate this, ser becomes eras. You were artistic is eras artística. And you were athletic is eras atlético. He in Spanish is él, she is ella, and you when talking to one person formally is usted. To conjugate this, ser becomes era. He was a teacher is él era profesor. Maria was a teacher is Maria era profesora. And you were a lawyer is usted era abogada. We in Spanish is nosotros or nosotras. And to conjugate this, ser becomes éramos. Pedro and I were teachers is Pedro y yo éramos profesores. Maria and I were lawyers is Maria y yo éramos abogadas. You in Spanish when speaking to multiple people informally and in Spain is vosotros or vosotras. And to conjugate this, ser becomes erais. You and Pedro were doctors is tú y Pedro erais médicos. You and Maria were scientists is tú y Maria erais científicas. They in Spanish is ellos or ellas, and you when talking to multiple people is ustedes. To conjugate this, ser becomes eran. Pablo and Juan were doctors is Pablo y Juan eran médicos. Maria and Martha were scientists is Maria y Marta eran científicas. This can also be used to describe inanimate objects. And if we're just talking about one object, it's similar to saying he or she. So ser becomes era. And if we're describing multiple objects, it's similar to using the they form of the verb. So in that case, ser becomes eran. The house was small is la casa era pequeña. The houses were small is las casas eran pequeñas. The building was big is el edificio era grande. And the buildings were big is los edificios eran grandes. That's all for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did and would like to support this channel, you can do that in a number of ways. Also, if you noticed any mistakes, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and take care.